Hi guys, it's Katie with String Expert. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to play the violin using a straight bow. Now this can be a little bit confusing because when we think about bowing on the violin, we sort of think of the fact that we already have sort of a straight arm. But when you think about it, even though our elbow is up and our hand is in a nice position and we're pulling our arm out, we're technically pulling it out at an angle. What happens is that when the bow then goes across the string, instead of having our bow be nice and straight and horizontal on the string, it's actually slightly crooked. So then as we play, we sort of start straight, we go crooked, and then we go back to straight. This leads to a lot of squeakiness, a lot of horrible sounding notes, and a really poor tone. So one of the things that we have to do is continuously move our arm into different positions in order to get the bow to go straight horizontal across the string and make a really good, clear, crisp sound. Now, what I would recommend is when you practice this at home, pull out a full-length mirror of some sort. If you don't have one, you can always go stand in your bathroom because usually there's a nice big wide mirror there that you can practice on. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our violin up. Now, we start playing straight. We start with our elbow up, our arm nice and straight, and we go down the string like this. But at some point, we start to pull our arm this way, and this is just how our arm naturally goes. And this is where we have that awkward, crooked angle and the poor sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here and we're going to pull, and when we get to the point where we start to angle this way, we're actually going to slide our arm towards the scroll this way in order to keep it straight and parallel with the bridge. So we're going to start pulling down, and then I'm going to get to about here or a certain point, and then I'm just going to gently start to slide my bow over here. Now it's very subtle. It's not an extreme arm this way kind of a movement, but there is a little bit of a movement in order to keep your bow straight. Some teachers kind of say it's sort of like making a figure eight. You're sort of going up and then going back down, and your bow is sort of making an 8 shape as you do both. I'm not exactly sure if I agree with that. I think it's kind of a silly illustration, but for some people it works really well. So let's start down here at the frog. We're going to gently pull, and then we're just going to continuously angle our bow so it gets nice and straight. And then when we get to here, we're going to go back. And as we go back, we're also going to have to go from here, where our elbow is sort of out this way, and pull it in as we get closer to the frog. So it sort of goes out like this and then in. So let's try that a couple times. Just nice, long, smooth, open bows. Now, one thing to consider is if you're a shorter person and you have shorter arms like I do, violin bows are sort of all made in a one-size-fits-all scenario. And as you've seen people who wear shirts that are one-size-fits-all, it means one size fits almost no one, because it's usually too big for some people, too small for some people. Some people it looks great on, but usually not most people. Same thing with the bow. So for me, I cannot play all the way to the top of the bow because of how short my arms are. So I get to about here. I have about 1 inch left on the bow, and that's when I return back. Now for some people, they can go all the way to the top, no problem. A good way to tell is as you're going down, when you get to about here, if I try and go down anymore, I have to completely curve my arm in order to make that happen. We don't want that because that's going to create a terrible sound. So I just sort of go down to where I think the end point is of my bow and go back. And it will vary from person to person, but I would say if you're, 5'5" or under, you're probably going to not be able to use your whole bow. So let's keep practicing it. Nice straight bows. The other thing to consider is where we line up the bow in regards to the bridge. So a good rule of thumb is sort of aim for lining up right here with the F holes. I think is a good, nice, straight spot to be at. You sort of get closer to the bridge if you want to be louder, and you sort of go closer to the fingerboard if you want to be quieter. But that's how that all works. So I hope that helped you sort of learn and understand about how to straighten the bow. Now what you want to do is spend some time practicing on open strings, spend some time doing pieces that you already know, and just really hone in on that skill of being able to play everything with a perfectly straight bow.